time ago. She wanted to climb a couple of mountains. We spent a lot of time in Lake Placid. I've climbed all the mountains up there, the 46ers. They're over 4,000 feet. I've climbed them probably 10 times over. She never climbed them because she was about yay high. She don't remember, she did climb too. So she wanted to go do that, so we went up and climbed a couple mountains a couple years ago. I think it was Ampersand and Whiteface. And then, I don't know, 6 months later, she's mumbling something about they want to go to Maine. I said, Maine? She said, yeah, Dad, you want to go to Maine? I said, well, it's 8-hour drive. I drive 2 hours, she drives 2 hours. Piece of cake. Later I found out we're walking. So I said, yeah, it's better than sitting on the front porch watching the cars go by. What the heck? Anyway, we decided to go, 2018. And just real quick for you, March the 24th, they said I had cancer. So I said, that's interesting. We're starting April the 15th. The doctor said, well, no, we can't do that. It takes 8 weeks of treatment. I said, well, I got news for you. 8 weeks, I'm going to be on the trail, so if you got a machine that comes up there, do your thing. He said, well, I don't know about that. We got a 30-day, and we can't get you in that. That's full. I said, fine. Then forget it. You'll do it when I come back. He said, no, we shouldn't do that. He went out of the office, came back, and then he said, can you be here tomorrow morning? I said, fine. Took 3 days. I got the same radiation that you get in 8 weeks. Believe me, didn't feel a thing. Didn't affect me one iota. So if anybody has to do it, don't be afraid of it. So anyway, we decided we were going on the trail. 3,600 people started on the trail the same day or the same time we did, April and May of last year. So rather than walking elbow to elbow with 3,600 people, we started in the middle. It's called a flip-flop. And we decided we'll hike north. They'll never catch us. Well, they did anyway, because them 20-year-olds, I don't know what they got, wings on their back or something. Anyway, this is where we start. What you need to know before you go. Before you go, you need to read this book, if you're thinking about hiking or whatever you're going to do. This fellow works down at REI, down in Marlin. This is the book. It's the one that's on the screen. This book is so well written. I've read it maybe 5-6 times. There's so much information in here, it's mind-boggling, but it's all simple. That's why I can read it. Hey, good. That's the Magic Trio. This is my daughter. This is my son-in-law. The three of us started in April. This is in Harper's Ferry, where the headquarters are. You have to go in, sign your name, give them all kinds of information so they can document your trip, etc. And then away you go. A lot of information for you. It's the longest hiking footpath in the world. It has 165,000 white blazes, and that's what you follow. If you can't see white, you're in trouble. Yellow blazes are on cairn stone piles when you get above the tree line, because there's no trees to put the white blazes on. And plus, the clouds come in, you can't see from here to that projector. So if there's a blaze and it's white and they're white clouds, it doesn't work. 14 different states you go through, largest volunteer project in the world, 31 clubs maintain it. If you climb the whole trail, up and down, up and down, up and down, you will have climbed Mount Everest 16 times. 4,396,000 steps. Now that does not include the 1,000 miles you're going to walk when you have to come down off the mountain to get food, which happens about every 4 days. So the trail is 2,198 miles plus 1,000. There's over 15,000 have completed the trail by now, depending on where you get the statistic from. All the trails have been relocated. The whole trail now is protected either by state, federal, or the Conservancy. One of the oldest in the world, predates the North American continent, the Appalachian Mountains. They were here first. Common name is called the People's Trail. It was made for everybody for no cost. You just go out and use it. It's also called the Green Trail because 80 to 90% of it's covered with trees. So if you want to buy a solar charger for your phone while you're walking, it don't work. There's the 14 states you're gonna go through. You're gonna start down here in Georgia, and you're gonna end up here in Mount Katahdin, Maine. This is Springer Mountain, Georgia, down here. You're gonna go through these 14 states. These 5 states are the 5 that we managed to get through. Unfortunately, my daughter found out she had a pain in her foot, so we urged her to go to urgent care. Found out she had a broken bone in her foot, so we had to stop. But we're gonna go back and tackle it again. This is the language on the trail. They don't speak on the trail the same language we do. Some of these you may know. Cairn, that's just a pile of stones, and you follow those wherever you do up through the mountains. Bubble, when that 3,600 people takes off, they go in groups of 20, 30, 50, 60. They're called bubbles. And when a bubble catches you, you're just surrounded by all these people, no matter where you are. Vitamin I, you've probably never heard of that before. That's ibuprofen. You live on it. 2 in the morning, 2 at night, or you ain't surviving. Am I blocking your view?
Yes.
Yes, I am. No-bow. If you head from the south, head north, you're considered a no-bow. If you start in the north and head south, you're a so-bow. Flip-flop, you start anywhere on the trail and flip forward like we did. We were going to hike the Maine, get in the car, drive back to Harper's Ferry, and then head south. Money, I'll get back to that. Privy, if you're old enough, some of you know what an outhouse is. Well, there's privies at every one of the lean-tos on the trail. Some are nice and some are not so nice. Bear box, almost every one of the hiking lean-tos that you come to has a steel box. You put your food in it at night, unless you want the bear sleeping with you, because they're gonna come and they're gonna take your food, take you, take the tent, they're gonna get to the food. So you lock it in the bear box. Hiker box, every town, every store, every service station you go in has a box on the wall that says hiker box. And of course, I always go and look. They don't, they stay away from it. Anything you don't need when you're walking the trail, you throw in the box. You're allowed to find anything in there. You can't imagine what's in there. Wristwatches, compasses, a Nero. You hike in close to a town, sleep the night before, hike 2 miles into town, go in, wash your clothes, grab some extra food, maybe pick up some mail, whatever. That's a half a day. That's a Nero. If you go into town and decide you're going to stay in a hostel, a hotel, in the church parking lot, or the church basement, that's called a 0. Slack pack, there's places where you can go and stay at a hostel, get up the next morning, they'll hand you a pack with water and enough food for you to eat for the day. They'll drive you to the trail, and then you can haul buns and walk 25 miles, and they'll pick you up at the other end and take you back to the hostel. So you don't have to carry a 40-pound or 30-pound pack. You've got a bottle of water, 2 sandwiches, so you can cover a lot of mileages. Trail legs, they lied about that. They said about 2 or 3 weeks you get your trail legs. Trail legs means your body says, damn it, this stupid sucker's gonna do this. And it says, all right, we're gonna go along with him then. It took, the lady we talked to, she says more realistic, about 500 miles. And I was feeling good at 500 miles. You get this indestructible feeling. You get this feeling that you can do this. Up till that time, my daughter will tell you what I do. Trail magic and trail angels. It's the greatest thing on the trail. You cannot believe the people that you meet on the trail and off the trail. And these people have walked the trail, some live on the trail, some have walked it and come back to help people on the trail. Eat as much as you want and take as much as you want. You'll see what I mean. Trail angel, you pick up the phone, you're 4 miles to town. You're standing on the road. Hey, Molly, could you come get us? We'll be right there. They'll come pick you up, drive you to town. Oh, do you want to stay with us in the house tonight? Some will invite you in the house. Some will wash your clothes for you. It's unbelievable. It's a trail community. You walk along the trail and there'll be a bag sitting on a rock. There's a Snicker bar in there, and there's, what's these things? Fritos. And there's honey buns. You never know what's going to be there. And if you can't, maybe you can read it, but I forget what it says on here, but it says love, somebody, zombies or something on there. So if you want to contact them on your phone and thank them, you can thank them for the food that's left there. This guy was a retired Navy, and I can't remember his name. You walk out, and sometimes the trail goes to a parking lot, crosses a road, whatever. He's standing there, and I walked almost past him. He said, "Would you like some trail magic?" I said, "I guess." He opened up that cooler, and every kind of candy, every kind of honey buns. It had magic drinks, it had sodas, it had anything. And again, you take as much as you want and eat as much as you want. They don't care. He does this all summer long. I'm walking through the woods, it's raining a little bit, and about 100 yards in the woods, I see this guy waving to me, and I see this tent set up. So I said, whatever. It's called the Leapfrog Cafe. This guy's named Fresh Ground. That's his trail name because he likes fresh ground coffee. And if you go home, get on your computer, and type in Fresh Ground, Appalachian Trail, you'll find out the history of this fella. He's had some tough times. He's hit the bottom, he knows where the bottom is, and this is his way of coming back up. He got religion. You'd have to read his whole story. He does this out of his pocket. Now he's getting donations. People see that his cause is good. They're donating stuff to him. He makes you anything you want to eat. There's better cooking at this place than I've had in some restaurants. I couldn't believe what this man, he had peppers, he had mushrooms, he had anything you want. Take as much as you want, eat as much as you want. And believe me, I ate. He had everything in that omelet that you could possibly imagine. You walk around the corner and there'll be a 5-gallon jug sitting there with water, with cups on it for you to drink. Well, not only that, it has a little sign on it that says fresh well water. So you're not drinking city chlorinated water. Or you might find a box of Dunkin' Donuts sitting on a bench. Unfortunately, these donuts they'd been there a while. Now, trail angels come in all shapes and all sizes. My daughter and son-in-law here was in a skidoo club, or whatever you call them, that was Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey. This guy was one of the members. When he found out we were hiking the trail, he notified her and said, "You know, you're right in my district. Let me know when you get close. I'll stop up and see you on the trail." You see those bags? There was hoagies in those bags about this long. There was sodas. There was candy bars. He was in court. I don't know how he got out of court, and he came, and what was he doing when he pulled in? Blowing that horn?
Yeah, and then when he left, he did the
pulled
same
in that
thing.
parking lot. You know that horn that the fire truck has and the cops have? That blows you off the road? He pulled in that parking lot. Everybody scattered. Cars were pulling off the road out on the main road. 165,000 blazes, 2 inches by 6 inches. You couldn't miss those, could you? Yes, you can.
And you did.
Yes, you can. Double blaze side by side. They're like this. If it's this way, you're turning this way. If it's this way, you're turning this way. You're reversed to me, so this is a left-hand turn. This is a right-hand turn. Now, would we walk a mile and a half until we said,
We're going in the wrong
wait a minute,
direction.
the sun's on this side, we're walking that way. Shouldn't the sun be on this shoulder going that way?
Yeah, some days you were just getting.
But there were white blazes.
Trail crews come through and cut most of the trees that fall down, and they were kind enough to leave the one with the blaze and set the blaze on the side of the trail. You want to turn that light out? Somebody reach up there. There you go. I was saying it's blurry to me, so I'm figuring it has to be blurry to you. This is the Appalachian Trail symbol here. It's just a capital A with a leg on the cross part of the A. This one's heading north, and the one's up there in front of my daughter, that's heading south. That's where, or I'm sorry, the other way around. We're going north, this one's heading south. Now, when you get the New Jersey-New York line, she's got 1 foot in New Jersey and 1 foot in New York. And this is the official Appalachian Trail bronze marker that's in the rocks. That marks the trail. I only saw 2 of these. They're not in the book. Nobody knows they've ever heard of them. That's a turn. And sometimes you gotta go where you gotta go, because believe me, there's a rock wall on both sides, you can't get up. There's the ladder. So if you're afraid of heights, you close your eyes and keep climbing. You see the blazes?
Yep.
Because that's when you're walking, trying to make time. You're walking through all this rubble and all these trees and everything. You're looking for a blaze here, a blaze there, and you catch one on a tree here, and then you catch a double up here. Everybody has a trail name. Nobody's Ray, nobody's Sandy, nobody's Bob, nobody's John on the trail. That doesn't exist. Fresh ground, you already know. Old Scout was a guy about 70-some years old, I think he was. He was an old scoutmaster. Decided to walk the trail. So his name was Old Scout. We spent the night with, I forget what the lean-to we were in. Professor, he was an adjunct professor at one of the colleges in New York City. He walks 300 to 400 miles a year, and he's going to finish the trail. It doesn't matter when you finish it. Some people took 25 years to finish it. Running on donuts, we were at Mosey's hostel, and this girl came in dressed in a skirt and her pack, which was twice as big as her. Mosey took her into town to buy some food and get whatever she needed. She came back, she had a box that was about 4 times as big as that, filled with donuts. And she had some kind of alcoholic beverages, 20 ounces. Well, it didn't take her long to do them and the box she was working on. She offered it, any of us, that's her name, Running on Donuts. I think it was the other stuff she was running on. Caretaker, we were at a lean-to one night, and a guy came through with a golden retriever golden lab, and we got talking to him. He told us the history of the lean-to. It was a clean, absolutely immaculate lean-to, and he was the caretaker. That was his trail name. Speaking of trail names, my daughter's trail name is Tibbs. Anybody want to venture a guess?
Well, tell them what your trail name is.
Excuse me?
Your trail name.
My trail name.
Yeah,
We'll get to that.
okay.
Tibbs.
It's Tips.
This is bullshit. I heard this for 500 miles. So she's in front of me, I know it's getting bad. If she's behind me, I've already went through it, so I know what she's complaining about. You get your trail name by either something like that. You usually don't name yourself. You can if you choose, but if you do some stupid thing or you got some weird habit, that's gonna be your trail name. And this is Mr. Obvious here, my son-in-law. My name is Moses. And you're gonna ask, how did you get Moses? Well, I got Moses long before the Appalachian Trail, but I think it was setting me up for the trail because she doesn't like to get her feet wet. So when we get to the streams, I think it's my job. This is how you can miss a blaze. It's hot, you're looking ahead, and you don't sort of see that little thing hiding down here in the bushes. And you can find yourself out wandering around. This is called a stile, or you can call it a ladder. The stones you see here was the original stone wall for a pasture. Everything on that side of the picture, the far side, is a pasture. 30, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. Horses and cows won't walk on stones. So you only pile a pile of stones maybe 3 feet wide and about 18 inches high. So we saw all these stones, and my son-in-law got a hold of a ranger somewhere, and he explained to us what that was all about. The other stone walls that were as high as this, and some of them this high, they were all from the Civil War. And we walked through, I don't know, acres and acres of those every time you turn around. And you look at those walls and you wonder, how in the hell did they carry all those stones? They must have had a lot of free time. Double white on the left-hand side, you're making a right-hand turn. There's all kinds of different colors, blazes, but they're all by clubs, private clubs. They might be pink, they might be blue, they might be red. Critters, you name it, the trail's got it. But if you're in a hurry, you're not going to see any of it. You're going to go right past it all. These little spotted newts, they were everywhere when it rained. Now, you could put your hand down and you can touch him and he'd run on your hand and you could pick him up, put him on your shoulder, do whatever you wanted. But if you try to pick him up with your fingers, like that, I assume that means you're a bird and you're gonna eat me. He flips over on his back and he goes stiff like that and you cannot make him stop doing that. He's just gonna play dead. I saw this frog getting ready to dive in a log. I think they had walked ahead of him, saw him, and they scared him, so he was heading for cover. I sat down on a rock, about from here to Joanne, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking up in the tree at these vines and everything, and I didn't have my glasses on. I'm looking, I said, boy, that's awful shiny vine. So I get up and I walked over to it, find out it was a 6-foot black snake. He's just hanging there, waiting for somebody to land so he could have lunch. This little vole was running across the marsh. These millipedes, when it rains, they come out by the thousands. They're on the ground, they're on the rocks, they're everywhere. If you touch one, that's what they do. Same thing, I think it's a defense mechanism. I'm too big to swallow, so they'll leave me alone. White-tailed deer, we walked up to them. They didn't care where we were there or not. You could bang your trekking poles, you could holler at them. They said, what is wrong with these people? They just stand there and look at you. This was interesting. If you look down here in this corner, there's a little bridge there, and this is a pond, and way out there you can just barely see there's a beaver house. Well, the beaver built a dam across because they wanted water up to cover their house for protection. Trail Club thought, we can't have that because it's washing out this bridge. So they put this pipe in here underneath it to let the water drain down to the level they wanted. The beaver came along and said, nah, that's not what we want. So they built this other dam out here. Trail Club comes along, we can't have that. So they hooked this pipe to that pipe to that pipe through the dam, trying to drain that pond down. I got news for you. This water pipe, there ain't nothing coming out of it. I went down and looked at the other end. Beaver's smarter than they are. They had to seal off the other end of it. This was a map turtle in Wallkill National Preserve, Wildlife Preserve. She was laying her eggs, walking alongside of the path I was walking on. Dragonflies were all over the place. Snails were all over the place. We had a lot of rain, a lot of moisture. Big snails, small snails. If you look closely, you can see his eyes up here. Actually, if you look close, you can see his eyes right up here on top. Slugs are out, and if you look close, you'll see his eyes are right down here. And they eat other slugs. They're not friendly. We were at, my brain's dying on me here. Delaware Water Gap. We went up to the top and Sunfish Pond's a glacier lake at the top when you're back on the trail. I saw this bullfrog in there. Unfortunately, there's nothing to tell you how big that frog is. That frog's about 10 inches long. It was the biggest damn frog I ever saw. It was nice as we were walking. There was no grass, no leaves, nothing when we started. But as everything started to grow, you're walking through this beautiful wonderland that you see it's coming. And the butterflies would start coming as these plants would start coming. Then some of the flowers would start blooming. Then the trees would start filling out. Ferns, we would walk for miles through ferns. There's a lot of bird's foot, trefoil, that's a clover type, puts a nitrogen in the soil. Then you get mayapple flowers. And if you look close, there's a blossom there. There's another blossom here. They're in bloom, but the blooms are all underneath of the plant, so you can't really see them. Something happened. We haven't used this laptop in a while, so it's going to let us know all the updates that we need to make. They're hard to see the flowers, they're down under the plants. But you can see the progression, it's starting to grow. And these ferns will get almost up to your chest. Here we're back in that Wallkill Preserve, walking, it's about 3 miles to get through it. And these thistles were there, these are purple. Yellow thistles is their name, but the flower, the bloom is beautiful. Never saw them that tall before. And this is the one you don't want to eat, no matter what anybody tells you. That's the death angel. This I've only seen twice since I've been alive, field horse tail. It looks like a mushroom. It's not a mushroom. It's not soft like a mushroom. If you pick it up and break a piece off and you were to take it, it'll scrape the hair off your arms. It was used by the Romans and the Chinese. How the hell it got here, nobody knows, because it's not native to America. If you finish the 2,000-mile trail and you contact the Conservancy, fill out a simple form, they will send you this patch that you can put on your hat, on your jacket, or whatever. The policy on the trail is leave no trace. So if you pack it in, you pack it out. Unfortunately, some people abide by that, some people don't. So I could go on and tell you all kinds of stuff we saw, came across, whatever. That 250 lean-tos, 15 or so structures. They are reserved for through hikers. Nobody else is supposed to use them. So if you want to go up on the weekend, if you want to hike on the weekend, you can't use the lean-tos. You do, but you're not supposed to. That's the Conservancy policy. It's just for through hikers. That was the first lean-to we stayed in. There are big ones, there are small ones, there are new ones, there's old ones. This was 2 stories. There's a set of stairs in the back. Had plexiglass across the front so the wind wouldn't blow in, rain couldn't blow in. We got to another lean-to and there was 60 Boy Scouts there. They had that table covered with all their gear. They had the lean-to piled almost to the ceiling with everything they owned until I got there and made them take it all out. And then this kid, who's a senior scout, I believe, he went running to the scoutmaster. And then the scoutmaster and I had a little discussion. Even though he was a minister, I won. But we said, look, once we get our stuff in, we get set up, you can use the rest of this lean-to. You'd have to ask my daughter what happened after that. What happened in the morning?
Well, we try to wake up the next day and you can't move your feet. You can't figure out why because you have about 6 kids laying on you. Because, I mean, you're in a tight spot, so it ends up happening. People end up rolling and so forth. But we try to educate the kids on the problems of critters in the lean-tos, mice and rats and things, and teaching them how to keep their packs open and unzipped and exposed so the mice can go in, do what they want to do, and get out rather than chewing on them. There was a little bit of excitement in the morning. One of them had left some M&Ms in his pocket, and I guess he went to check for them, and something furry came out first.
That's when you go in the lean-tos at night, you empty all your pockets, unzip all your pockets. You got 2 choices, either unzip it or they eat through. So do you want a hole in your pocket or do you want to leave the zipper open? And if you feel this thing going across your face at night, don't worry about it. He's just passing through.
I know, this one throws them on you at night. Let's be honest about
He went
that.
across me, I just went like that, bounced onto her. What else can I do for a daughter? This was another set of lean-tos. Sometimes there's 2, most of the time there's 1. This one had the stream that were the water sources. Usually, lean-tos usually have a water source also, so that's your spring, so you're going to be able to cook, do whatever else you need your water, refill your water supply up so you can march on the next day. There was a stream up this way towards you, but for some reason it had overflowed the banks, and you can see it was running right here. Now, so when you got up, whenever you got up to go outside that lean-to, you walked in mud. That was not a good thing. This is a hostel, retired state trooper, built this building. It's got 6 bunks in it. I forget all the stuff that was in it. Had a nice hot shower out back, had a real modern porta-john, and had a dresser full of clothes. Why would he need a dresser full of clothes? And there was some of the craziest clothes I ever saw in that dresser. Shorts, pants, whatever. What do you think that was for? You only get 2 pair of pants, 2 shirts, and 2 pair of socks. That's all you take with you on the trail. You like to get them clean, so you take everything off. And it's really not nice to run around nude, all these people. So there's all these clothes in there for you to wear while his wife, Jody, is washing your clothes. It was a nice setup, really nice setup. And I forgot to tell you, for those there's an antique trailer out here, must be 1940s, and that had 2 bunks in it. And there was another one on the other side of the house. I'd never seen trailers that old. And he had 4 spaces in his basement, I believe.
Where was that?
$40.
Where was that hostel?
He doesn't hear
I
well.
can't hear who's saying
Where
it.
was that hostel?
Rock and Soul, where was
The
that?
Rock and Soul. It was called the Rock
Yeah, where
and
was it? Yeah.
Soul,
Where?
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 Pennsylvania. He comes and picks you up. You call him,
Where we
say,
were at.
hey, you got any openings?
I'll
He
look it
says,
up.
yes. He knows where the road crossing, the trail cross, he comes, picks you up. He's about 2 miles, 3 miles away from the trail. He picks you up,
I
takes
think
you
we were
here,
before
$40. You get to stay, you get
Before
the
the
shower,
bells?
you get your clothes washed, you get breakfast in the morning. And then he says, what time you want to go back on the trail? He's there
It's
waiting
before
to
they're
take
really
you back to the
nasty.
trail.
Okay.
And that
after
was
Duncan.
dessert. His wife does all the cooking. And his 2 boys were home from college. There's 2 kids there, older kids. This is another lean-to we stayed at in Maryland. This was in the Windsor Furnace State Park. This is a big state park with campers and horses and God knows what, and roads all through it everywhere. There was a road out in front of this lean-to. We got there, was nobody there. We only went there because I was tired. About an hour later, these 2 girls come walking in. They're both from Kansas. This girl's an engineer. This girl's a school teacher. They've been friends ever since grammar school. And I don't know, one of them said, let's walk the Appalachian Trail. There they are, from Kansas. And they're walking all, top to bottom, all the way. One other thing, I can't quite see, but there's a can of beer sitting there. There's a can of beer up there. There's a can of beer there. You want to tell them where the beer came from?
So,
We don't carry beer. It's too heavy.
no, it's too heavy.
You can't carry liquid.
You can
Only
see how
water.
light it is outside. So Dad's already out like a light sleeping. And before he went to bed, he says, yeah, I could really use a beer. Boy, it would be really nice to have a beer. Well, we could do about that. So this guy comes up the trail, and he's really got a sense of urgency. And he comes up, and he's talking about trail angels and doing favors. So he wanted to know if we would all want a beer. Well, we're all like, yes. So the minute you hear beer, Dad wakes up. And I'm like, how do you hear that? You don't even have your hearing aids on. You know? So it was just really nice to have someone come by. They gave us fresh oranges, as you can see, and they brought some beer for all of us. It was just little things like that. At the end of the day, you're like, thank the Lord.
This is the trail community. These are the trail angels. He hiked all the way in there with his pack, with these 6 packs of beer on his back.
Yeah.
And he didn't know if anybody was here. He's coming in there anyway. This one's owned by the Conservancy. This is one of the huts that in the lean-to. It's a structure. And off to the right of this, there's a big field all mowed that you can pitch your tents, and right in the middle of that's a big shower house where you can get clean. To the left of that is a 3-story house. There's outlets on the outside where you can recharge your phones. I think there was a refrigerator there. I don't know why, because we don't carry any frozen food with us. So anyway, I said, that looks good, man. I'm tired. Till I looked
Yeah.
inside. It was an old horse stable.
Oh, it smelled like it
They
too.
fixed up the outside, but they didn't do much on the inside. It was dirt, and crumbly concrete, and no screen on the back door. I thought, we better pass on this. So we went on further. We got to Grove Furnace State Park. There's a 1700s iron ore furnace there, a big stone furnace like up at, I can't think of the name of the place, up by North Jersey has one. This is the Ironmasters Mansion. A private outfit bought this up, a nonprofit, fixed it all up, and it's all bunks, all rooms up here with lavatories, washing machines, and there's a dining hall, everything down here, so you can stay here. I don't know what the charge was. It's usually about $40. You get your meals, you get the use of the whole facility. Come and go whenever you want. Trails to me was not about mileage. I couldn't do it anyway. You start out about 8-10 miles until you build up to 15 or 18 miles a day. It's all about discovery. There is so much out there to see and so much to learn from people and from the animals, and just walking through the world of nature. It's an adventure. And the freedom you get there, you don't know what freedom's like till you get on this trail, because we're all in the matrix. The alarm clock goes off, bang, grab your clothes, run down to Wawa, get your coffee, get in the car, get to work, gotta sit there for 8 hours, get on home, gotta do something else, run the kids to the ball game, blah, blah, blah. Not on the trail. You do what you want to do, whenever you want to do it, no matter what time it is. Rain, wet pants, socks, shoes, believe me, when you get wet on the trail, you don't just get damp, you get soaking wet. No matter whether you've got your rain gear on because you're wet from sweat, or it's just soaking through all the seams. The nice thing about it when you're wet like that and it's 23 degrees out, you got to take all that stuff off because you only got one dry set of clothes in your pack, and that's what you sleep in. Now, some people hang that up to dry at night, but when you get up in the morning, it's interesting when it's 23 degrees out. You ain't putting them back on. Now, if it's not 23 degrees, you're going to put all those wet clothes back on because you can't use the dry ones or you're not going to sleep the next night in dry clothes. When you get up in the morning, 200 times you're going to do that, at least. It'll make your day. No rain, no pain, no main. That's the saying on the trail. And if you're a control freak at home, everything's got to be here, it's got to be there, it's got to be this and that, I got news for you. You got a problem. Because you can't control the weather. You definitely can't control the elevation, the up and down, or the terrain. Mother Nature's, you're in her back room now. Hike yourself into shape. Yeah, there's a lot of people thought they could do that. They start in Georgia, and the first 50 miles, those 3,600 people, 1,800 of them quit and go home because they thought they could hike themselves into shape. The next 150 miles, 50% more drop off. So we went from 3,600 to 1,800 to 900. 750 of them finished the trail last year. 20% to 25% is all it's going to finish it. So if you're within that 20-25%, pat yourself on the back. This is hard to see, but there's a bear pole in this picture, a steel pole that's got limbs on it, like steel limbs. And that's where you hang your food at night if there's not a bear box. Again, you have to hang your food away from you. Anything that smells, perfume or whatever you had, soap, you have to put that in a bag with your food and hang it up on the bear pole. There's a big pole there with a Y on it. You hook your bag on it and you hang it up there. And the other thing you must do is put your name on your bag, because you got an orange bag and a pink bag and a green bag, and they're all purty. You wake up in the morning and 25 Boy Scouts moved in, and there's 15 green bags up there, 15 red bags up there, and you're trying to figure out who's what. That's what it looks like when they're hanging. And you'll hear at night, I don't, Charlene heard it at night, you can hear this chain that this pole that you put your bags up with, I guess it's the raccoons are going to carry it off. It's welded on a chain to the pole so nobody can take it. You'll hear that chain rattling at night, where it's either the bears or the raccoons who are trying to get to those bags. This was at the furnace, where the two girls were. Couldn't find a limb high enough, throw the rope up over to pull the bags up, so that was as high as it got. There's a bear box. They're all different shapes, all different sizes. They have locks on them. This is where the caretaker, he took care of these two lean-tos. There's one in the back here with a picnic table, so if it's raining, you can have your dinner or whatever there with no problem. Picnic table out front. And I don't remember if it's this one, but snoring is over here, non-snoring is over there. You got to go from civilization to wilderness when you get on the trail. Like I just said to you, we're all in the civilization. We're in a fast pace, super fast. So I guess it's like the old rabbit and the hare. Right here, we're the rabbit. When you get on the trail, you're going to be a tortoise, because you're only going to make 2 miles an hour. Not that 50 or 60 miles an hour when you're driving to the Wawa or wherever you're going because you're late for work or whatever you're trying to do. And that will take you off the trail. If you can't make that transition and slow down, you'll never make it. The trail will let you know who you are. You're going to know a lot about yourself after you're on the trail for a while. The big thing on the trail is, what do you want and what do you need? So when you see those people with a 60-pound backs on their back, that's what they want. It's not what they need. That's when the hiker box comes in. when you get there, half of that stuff that was in their pack is in that box, because they're not using it.
Dad got the other half.
Excuse me? She doesn't like me going in the hiker box.
No.
It's not about the destination. You're heading for Maine. That's not what it's about. Even though you want to stand up there and wave and get a picture of yourself, it's the journey. It's the getting there. All the stuff that's going to happen to you on the way is what it's about. You're going to talk about that the rest of your life. You're not going to talk about standing up there on that sign, waving your hand. We saw 2 or 3 deer run by this lean-to. You'll see down here these burn marks on the tables because people have their alcohol stoves that they have, and the alcohol spills out of the stove, and they light the stove, and it sets the table on fire, and it burns rings on the fire or on the tables. That was pretty common. This was clean. This was a nice lean-to. Didn't see any mice there. Nothing. This was the Taj Mahal. This was close to town, Fayetteville, Pennsylvania. And this was a double again. There's one here and one over there, and I think that was the same thing, snoring and non-snoring. And then in the middle there's a picnic table with a skylight over, so you could sit down and eat, even if it was pouring rain, it didn't matter. And this, it was just immaculate, but there was a road coming to this. So that means they could get all these materials in there with a truck or some kind of equipment. Those other lean-tos that I was showing you, that all has to be walked in, has to be helicoptered in. Bear box was right across from those 2 lean-tos, and there's a stream running right here. So if you stayed there, you had your water, had your bear box, had everything you need. This was the Peters shelter. Their son died of, I forget what, and he was a hiker, climber, etc. So the Peters family donated this hut to the trail club, whatever it was that maintains this trail, and then they built this hut at their expense. This was a 20-seater. There was 3 of us there. There was a fellow here, my daughter, my son-in-law. Around nighttime, they started coming in. The bubble was catching up to us. We got up in the morning. I don't know if there was 25. I don't know how many people was in that this hut. There was tents out back. There was tents in the front. They were all over the place. And that was where the 300 steps were?
No, that was where the black snake was inside, and I wouldn't go in.
No, the 300 steps were right outside of that, went down. And that,
Yes, on that one, not this one, but the one before you were just at.
yeah, not this one.
Yeah. You want to go back to that one?
You know, this, right in front of this, every place has its water. Well, the water for this place was down. And it had a little sign there that said 300 steps. Yeah, there were 300 steps. There were 300 stone steps that were damn near as high as this railing. So you had to walk down those steps, and then you had to walk back up with your water.